When I say, well, okay, let me explain. This thing of racism and being racist has been taken to be, is looked at as negative. If someone says you're racist, you immediately think, because of conditioning now, how it's presented, that someone's being negative towards you, like it's a negative. This whole, you're being racist. And it is, because no one should be judged based on their race. But the thing is, racism is not necessarily I'm being bad or I'm being negative or I'm being evil. What it is that you're talking about something or relating to something in relation to race. Like you could be saying, oh, that's a beautiful, she's beautiful for a black woman, for example. You get what I mean? You're complimenting, but you're still talking about her based on the color of her skin. That's racism. Do you get what I mean? Like if I say, oh, you remind me of the black blah 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 comedian, whatever. Like you're talking in, you might be complimenting the person, but you're still talking in relation to race. That's racism. Racism is when you're dealing with something and bringing race into it. That's what racism is. It's not like, oh, you black this, you black that. Racism is when you're talking about anything or judging anything or discussing anything based on the color of it or the color of a person's skin. That's racism. That's where people have kind of got it wrong. So if I say to a person, who's saying, oh, you remind me of the black blah, 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 they're being racist, but they won't want me to say they're being racist because it has that negative thing of they're being negative towards me. And they kind of are in a way, because nothing should be, as I said, should be judged on race. That's just my take on it. Like, if you're talking about something based on the color of someone's skin, that's racism, because you're talking about race. You're dealing with race. Racism is dealing with race. So if you're talking about anything in relation to brown, white, black, regardless of what you're saying about it, you could be saying the most complimentary, positive thing in the world. You're still being racist. You're using race. You're discussing the topic of race. Does that make sense? And that's it. So when I say someone's being racist, I'm racist sometimes. If without thinking about it, I may say something in relation to race. You know what I mean? But I'm not being negative. I've just brought race into this conversation. I may just, go off on something or, talking about something and talk about the topic of race. But I'm not, you know what I mean? But I'm still being racist because I am talking about race. Does that make sense? And that's where people have kind of missed it, because when I say you're racist, it sounds like I'm saying something bad about you, like I'm being negative, But we're all racist, I think. But I think because of the level of racism a lot of people experience, they by default become racist because they're forced to think in a way of race. Like, for example, when I spoke about the girlfriend I had at 16, and she said to me, I can't see you anymore. My dad said, I can't see you anymore because you're black. Now, I'm not thinking about the color of our skin. I'm just enjoying this relationship I'm having with this girl. It only became a racism thing or a racist thing when, for me, when I realized, oh, this is about color, It became about race. So I became, in having to process it in my mind, I became racist because I then had to look at her as white. Do you get what I mean? So I was kind of forced to be racist without being actually racist in a negative way. I was just forced to think or perceive something or evaluate something or process something or view something based on race alone. Have you seen these memes online where it says like, it shows you this black baby and this white baby, like maybe holding hands or cuddling or playing together. And they say that, and the kind of the writing that goes with it is something like, we're not born racist, that kind of thing. It's like a learned behavior is basically what the message is. We learn to look at color. We're not born hating each other based on the color of our skin. And that's the whole thing. It's a learned behavior. Absolutely. We're made to be racist because we're environments where people are looking at us based on the color of our skin. And they may not even be aware of it. They're just programmed. You have these stereotypes of like, the guy in the hoodie is the crook, is the thief, he's come to rob you, Worse if his color is the color of his skin is black, because then that stereotype is perpetuated even more, and then you're looking at this person as someone to fear, someone who's going to rob you. You know what I mean? It's like all a yeah. It's so ingrained that if I say big white guy, it doesn't instill the same thoughts about it, does it? The whole subject of race and racism is a big topic. There's so much that can be said about it, you know? But that was something inspired by what you said for me to say, basically.